Welcome back to the Electric Harley House yet again. We're ready for another fun-filled episode with Doc and LoBo.
Full of fun, information, and bullshit.
Yeah, lots of bullshit. There's no doubt.
Stuff that we have to put up with every day. Oh, and we almost forgot, again, to mention our buddy Diesel over here.
Diesel, welcome back.
Hey.
No, that's enough out of you.
Yeah,
anyway, okay, moving right along.
I see why I'm back.
Yeah.
Comedy relief. Oh, did I say that out loud?
Gee, you did.
We were not supposed to tell him
I
that.
forgot, man.
Okay, speaking of comedy, there's some crazy ideas, crazy things that are flying around today, and just here in the recent post-election days, and we've seen a lot of this coverage on some of the major media outlets. It's always nice to catch the fairy tales that they spin and so forth. But lately, right after the election, it just seemed like all these people wanted to post on the White House site that they had just had enough and they were just ready to leave. They were talking about, we're out of here. We want the president to give us the right of secession. We want to leave
peacefully, and we want to be allies of the United States still, but we want to leave and secede from the Union, and you still help us.
And see, here's the thing. Okay, number one, these people are not limited to either particular side of the aisle. But another thing is, they really don't know what the heck they're asking about. They don't really have any clue what they're talking about.
Yeah, and I want to point out that the people that were posting this for these petitions were not the state government. They were just people.
Right, absolutely. These are just citizens, okay? Which is, hey, I mean, it's the government of the people, by the people, and for the people. So, I mean, citizens, we have the right to free speech, and that's wonderful. It's good to verbalize, vocalize, and share with other people your thoughts. But sometimes, guys, just because you got the right to free speech, you really need to think about it before you speak.
Well, free speech doesn't promise smart speech.
That's unfortunate.
And I understand a lot of this on the boards is just that. It's venting more than it is anything.
Right. It's just about
right. And they probably do want to succeed, somewhere shallow, but deep down, they love the security that this nation provides.
Yeah, the thing about it is, I don't think that they realize that they really don't want to succeed at seceding.
Yeah.
They really don't want this, okay? And it's, okay, speaking as someone who is comes down on the right-hand side of things most of the time, I'm generally considered pretty conservative in a lot of my views. Not all of them, but most of them. A lot of this, it really was kind of sour grapes after the election. I mean, I understand. I was pretty frustrated because I voted for the other guy.
Yeah, if you listened to episode 4, you'd understand that.
Yeah, we were pretty, we get pretty frustrated too. But, that's kind of the equivalent. Well, I'll just take my ball and go home. Or I don't want to play with you no more. Well, we're still America, guys. This is still the country. This is still our country. It's still the U.S. of A., and it's still the best hope for freedom and democracy the world has. And yeah, okay, so I don't like the guy in the White House. That's nothing new. Okay, there's a lot of the guys who've been in that particular Oval Office that I haven't really cared for. I could probably name the ones I did care for on one hand. But that don't mean that it's time to pull up stakes and get out of here. It's time now. What that means is it's time to dig in and fight. It's time to make your voices heard. My other question, if they're so all fired, many of them ready to leave, where the hell were they on election day? Okay, if they're all of a sudden this all fired about, they're that upset about this guy, they really probably should have vented that on a ballot instead of by posting on some website someplace.
You know what's sad though is like these very people that are wanting to secede from the Union are probably the very same people that did show up to vote, but they wrote in Ron Paul.
Yeah, or they wrote in some other candidate. Okay, and I respect your right to choose, but you got to understand when you do, when you vote for somebody who don't have a ghost of a chance, and I don't have a problem with Ron Paul. If the man had a little bit more of a chance of getting in office, I might have voted for him for myself. But the thing about it is, in this current political climate, for better or for worse, if you don't have the support of one of the two major parties, it ain't going to happen. Ralph Nader never made it, and I don't really think that Ron Paul's ever going to make it either. Okay, and yeah, a lot of those people who voted for him and Johnson and some of the others, where otherwise probably would have voted for Romney. It may have been a different thing, but maybe not. I mean, the numbers tend to suggest that it would have went the other way, but
Yeah, but you know what? It's over. He didn't win.
Exactly.
And we have to move on. Like you said, we got to dig in and we fight, and we got to let our voice be heard. That hey, some of the things you're doing, we don't agree with.
Absolutely, and you are represent. You were real fond during the election, Mr. President, of pointing out how Romney said there was 47% of the people he wasn't particularly worried about. That was a misquote, but you pointed that out several times. So don't forget, you've got a minority number two that you're also responsible for, okay? And we don't want to be ridden roughshod over any more than Romney's supposed 47% or whatever. We're still citizens too, and we expect our rights to be protected. We intend as free citizens to exercise our rights within the law, to speak, to be active, and to preserve our Constitution. This is not the time to scrap the Constitution. I mean, let's take a look just for a second. A hypothetical situation. Say your state gets where the man in the White House is fine. You don't want to be part of the country. We don't want to be part of the country here. I'll sign it. First off, constitutionally, not possible. It's not. Okay, it's a lot of people always say we got to go by the Constitution, but then they start in the next breath start spitting out things they want to get rid of that are also constitutional. So, a lot of us want to change the Constitution. We just want to make it the way we want it to be, okay? And that's, some people read the Bible that way too. But anyway, the thing about it is it's not possible. Constitutionally, it's not possible. Second, okay, let's just say if it was for a moment. We're going to go on this little tangent. So now your state suddenly is no longer part of the U.S. of A. You are the one state of whatever. You can rename yourself whatever you want because you're no longer under the United States. So it means you no longer have a standing army protecting you. Nope, you don't. You don't have any constitutional rights. Your citizens don't because they're no longer under the Constitution.
Which means your right to defend yourself and keep and bear arms? Yeah,
Gone. See ya. Free speech. No, I hope you liked it while it was there because now you have nothing guaranteeing it. Now, granted, your state could draw up a carbon copy of the Constitution and ratify that and say, okay, now this is our Constitution too. That's fine.
But doesn't mean the union's going to accept it.
Right. It doesn't mean the entire bit of your population is going to accept it. And until that is done, you have no legal rights under the law. You have no rights, period. There is no law, period. The only law you have is those who who have enough force to control it. It's called feudalism. Welcome back to the Middle Ages. You have no. Let's see some of the other things we all like to enjoy.
Oh, it's called Medicare, Medicaid,
Medicaid,
Social Security.
Social Security gone. Let's see. As a matter of fact, since the U.S. of A. paved and paid for the roads and things that you're using in your state, they may start demanding some kind of tax that you pay to another country to use their roads. Because, after all, they paved them in the first place.
Oh, and welcome to passports when leaving the state.
Absolutely. So now you want to drive across the state line. Well, now you're going into another country. So if you've got to go, drive a couple states over to pick up for Black Friday shopping spree or whatever, a couple towns over, one of them happens to lie in another state. Well, guess what? You have to cross international lines. Hope your passport's up to date. That means all the international airlines that in your state are now no longer controlled by the FAA. So all those employees who work for the government will all be sent elsewhere.
And I wonder how you're going to get your passport when you get them from the U.S. Postal Service.
Exactly. Now, somebody in your government's got these rules now. Yeah, because now the U.S. Postal Service can just basically pitch them across the across the state line and say, "There's your mail. Enjoy."
Yeah. And if you want to visit like family or somewhere where you have to fly, now you have to buy airspace through United States occupied territory.
Not to mention, suddenly, and now when your radio stations and so forth broadcast, they're going to be subject to international law as well. So, the whole idea of just because you don't like the man in the White House and some of his policies, you got to be careful about throwing that baby out with the bathwater here. Okay, we are still United States of America. This is the time for us to all pull together, even if we don't necessarily agree on everything. We do have some common ground that we need to stay, and that common ground generally meets somewhere around the Constitution.
Yep.
And that's what we need to stick with. That's what we need to pull for. Now, I understand all these people signing this. A lot of them really weren't saying we really want to secede. They're just wanting their numbers to be seen. Well, again, that's what elections are for, guys. And they're making kind of a big deal about this, even though this is not the first time that we've seen this. I mean, any time there have been close elections, there's always been on this White House site, as long as it's been there have been people posting crazy things. I mean, right next to that, you also got people posting for the legalization of marijuana. You got people posting for the get rid of the electoral college. You got all kinds of different things that are all posted, none of which is going to come around, at least not anytime soon.
You know what's funny though? I was looking at those petitions, and it's funny because the people that are posting these petitions, you know, the rest of America, this is how much they care. Okay, you have to have 25,000 votes by December 10th, and they were probably at maybe 5,000. This was just 2 weeks ago, but the petition to make marijuana legal was at 18,000. You know, that just tells you how much people really care about
exactly.
your
Yeah.
secession
Well, no, there was
petition.
actually a lot of them were. I mean, the one in Texas reached 25,000 within a couple of days. But the thing about it is, a lot of them were kind of signing each other's petitions too. They used. I mean, there were a lot of people who were crossing over, and the state of Georgia had two separate ones going. So I guess you have to add those together to come
Well,
up
that was
with
probably two different people.
I'm
posting
sure.
the
Yeah, I
petitions.
would think. I'm sure because I mean, there's really not any. I mean, there's some pretty loose criteria for who can put these petitions up there, and once again, they only have to be addressed by the White House if it reaches 25,000, which a lot of them hit that. Well, I mean, that's fine. It doesn't mean that you're going to get to secede. It means the White House has to address it, which means they have to get up and say, no, and then that's pretty much it.
Yeah, you know, and it's when you're putting these things out there, it's kind of just ridiculous because it's like, who would just think of the ramifications of that? You know, it's just like that old adage, be careful what you wish for.
Absolutely.
You know, because like we just said, the things that you would lose by seceding from the Union is not worth because you're just pissed off.
Yeah, exactly. Of course, you don't ever make a decision in a rash decision like that in anger. I mean, it's easy to do that sort of thing, but this is major, guys. And once again, leaving the country is not the answer. And, I can remember there's always been, some of the more extremes of either party. It's like, oh, if such and such wins this election, I'm leaving the country. And they never do. They never, ever do. Usually it's, some of the real left-wing actors and so forth. I'm not going to live here if such and such for the Republican Party gets elected. They're all still here. You're not going to get paid anywhere else in the world what they get paid here and live in the style that they live here. Come on, let's be honest here. We all say, get a little bit out of hand sometimes on that. But honestly, I mean, you don't like the fella who's in the White House, okay? You don't like his policies. Well, fine, be vocal, right? You're congressman. Sign petitions that actually have hope of accomplishing something. Join organizations that are constitutionally based, that have lobbying power and that kind of thing. Work within we have a system that's set up so that people have a voice. We're one of the few countries in the world that does. Now, a lot of countries in the world, you could call them free countries. The free countries are quickly outnumbering the tyrannical or communist type countries. They are. I mean, because frankly, that stuff doesn't work very long. Even though the communist countries across the world seem to be kind of teetering, our current government seems to be wanting to embrace it pretty tightly, but that's neither here nor there. But it's not the time to say, well, fine, I just quit. I want to go someplace else. Now's the time to say, well, let's work to fix it. Let's try to get this taken care of.
Yeah, don't be posting petitions to secede. Won't you post a petition to fight some of these policies that you hate?
Yeah,
Did you ever
exactly.
think about
Be
that?
specific. Yeah, I mean, something that's actually going to have some use to it.
Some real ramifications, not
Right.
just to show that you're a dumbass.
So that you're mad. Damn it, I'm mad. Well, hey, we're mad too, but at least we kind of try to explain that, and we're not going anywhere. We're here, as we say, rocking free speech, baby, till we ain't got it no more.
That's right.
So we're going to keep spreading the good word. And all you folks who wanted to secede, I know we're giving you a hard time, but hey, we don't want you to leave. Stay here. Stay. Get in line with us, man. Let's all get together on this thing. Let's link arms and let's show this world that America is not gone. That the thing that made this country great still exists. Okay, let's not be that once great country, United States of America. We can still be great. It's going to take a lot of work. It's going to take a lot of dedication.
Let's teach the world to sing and give everyone a Coca-Cola.
Yeah, and by the way, this was not paid for anyway by the Coca-Cola company. It was not used with permission.
That's
anyway.
like really old.
Yeah.
Boy, did I show my age.
Yeah, absolutely. Anyway, but honestly, let's get together. Let's work on this thing together. Let's work as a nation. Let's work as a people. And let's bring this country back where it needs to be, where individual freedom means something, where honesty means something, where integrity means something, and where I don't have to look over my shoulder for what the government may be doing or trying to take from me and that kind of thing. That's the whole point of that war that was fought a little over 200 years ago. And to quote another good one of our great presidents, and that a government of the people, by the people, and for the people shall not perish from the earth. If we all desert like rats from a sinking ship, man, this thing's over. It's done, and it ain't done yet. Come on, guys, hang with us.
What do you think about it, Diesel?
I agree with everything y'all say. I mean, I'll just be honest. I know
you want to teach the world to sing too?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. And people just acted rationally. They acted out of emotion, and there's nothing. To a point, we're human beings. We're going to do stuff like that. We're going to react before we think.
Yep.
But once you start getting the ramifications down for leaving, you're going to say, okay, look, let's see in 4 years if we can't change it. Or while this president's active, let's see if we can't do something. Heck, go out and be active in your community. Don't just post something and not do anything and hope somebody hears you and takes your fight to Congress. Go out and do something in your community. Go out and volunteer. Go out and help people that are struggling through this economy. It's not just the big government we've got to worry about. We've got to worry about our neighbors.
That's right. That's right. And that's the whole point of this thing, is that we live as a nation of free people who are willing to help and pull each other through this thing. It's real easy just to pick apart the bad things, and we spend a lot of time doing that every episode, and it's a lot of fun. I'll be honest with you, but we try to throw some positive stuff in there too. Now we'll see in the days ahead. I mean, there may be some pretty lean times for positive thinking, but we're going to do the best we can. But the thing is, we got to hang in this thing together, because I think this country's worth salvaging.
Yeah, we the people. That's there for a reason. It's like we're all in this together. For whoever's in the White House, we may not like them, and you may love them, but that's what makes this country great.
That's right.
We can disagree, we can do all this stuff, but when it comes down right to it, we're all in this together.
Absolutely, and we are all in this thing together. And that's the other thing. Sometimes we get so upset with the government for what's going on in our lives, and I've said this, you've heard me say this, it's not the government's responsibility to make my life great. It's not. I can't put my problems all on the government. I can't point my finger and say everything that's wrong in my life the government did to me, or everything that's good in my life the government gave to me. That's not the role. That's not their role. That's not what they need. That's not what they're there for. That's your responsibility. The Declaration of Independence said that there are certain unalienable rights, and among these are the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. But they could have put in quotations, but nobody's guaranteeing anything.
Yeah, you're going to hear us say this over and over because we stand by it. That's the one thing we believe in, is the Constitution. It's there for a reason. Absolutely. They put it in place to protect us and to give us these freedoms. And there's been hundreds and thousands of men and women that give their life every day to defend that piece of paper.
Absolutely, and it's more than just a piece of paper. This is what our founding fathers sat down in 1787, wrote this thing out, and based it on some previous documents that from other places, but put together sort of a collective idea of all these things to form a new kind of nation that had never existed anywhere else. And it's been a great 200 odd years now. But let's not give up on it just because because we've hit some bumps in the road, because we've kind of stumbled a little bit on the path and we've lost our way a little bit. Come on, we quote old Charlie Daniels and say, let's put our feet back on the path of righteousness, and then God bless America again.
That's right. So, Diesel, It's been good having you here. Have you had a good Thanksgiving?
Oh yeah, ate too much, of course.
Well, that's what you're supposed to. Aren't we supposed to do it on Thanksgiving?
I think
Is
so.
that the rules?
Isn't that in the Constitution that
I
you're
think
supposed to eat a lot during
okay,
Thanksgiving?
Thanksgiving,
I
yeah.
don't know.
There's something about the
We need
pilgrim.
to amend the Constitution. to
We
say
do.
that.
Thou shalt
There's the
always
fight.
eat.
There's a
happily
fight
on
you need to
Thanksgiving.
take to the White House.
Okay,
right
there we
there.
go. There's a petition.
There's a petition. We're going to start right
Less
there. Eat lots
gluttony on Thanksgiving. No, I couldn't. It wouldn't be Thanksgiving without it. But anyway, all right, guys. Thanks again for listening. We really appreciate every one of you. Don't forget to like us on Facebook and the other social media that you see. And until then, keep your pipes loud.
And keep your ants cranking.